Yeah.
They Glade people are just, y'all are just faithful. No wonder you have such a great club.
Yeah. Hey, did you send me those slides, Beth,
What slides?
from David Flynn?
No, David, you want to?
David, you can, yeah.
He said he did not get them, and his one of his emails is not working. Do you have a Gmail for Greg?
Was I supposed to send him the slides? I never did. I
Oh, no, as long as you got them.
don't care to send them to you at all.
No,
Will
are
you
you
run them?
you're gonna run them, right?
Well, I can or you can. I don't care.
No, you can run them.
My computer died this morning on me, and I wasn't presenting, but I freaked out. So when I got it back up, I sent mine to Greg for precaution.
Oh, well, I can most definitely do that. That's a good backup plan just in case something was to happen. As soon as I'm putting an edit on one of my slides, and as soon as I finish that, I'll send them over to Greg.
Yeah.
Super.
So send them to Greg Mastiolik at Gmail.
There's Erin. She came back.
Yeah, my guess is we won't have quite as many here.
No, there'll be some ball game watchers. They'll be listening with one ear.
Hey, Wayne, you didn't see the slides. I don't understand that. That's kind of weird. I don't know.
He never did see them.
No, he never saw him. And yet Janice saw him, but he didn't see him. So
Greg, I
okay.
think it has to do with the view you select in the right-hand corner.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that you can watch it in gallery view and speaker view and spotlight view. I don't think that matters.
But one of them excludes the slides. I can't remember which one it is.
Kate shaking her head. Yes. So Wayne, when we go to slides, select speaker view, okay, and see what happens. You know how to do that? Wayne, you're muted. So.
Okay, gang. I think it's 12:30.
31.
12:31. So I'll just start. Thank you for coming back, those of you who attended this morning, and thank you for my new people. I appreciate you taking your time on a Saturday to maybe try to learn some things that might help with your Rotary Club. You know, I'm going to repeat myself for those who might be new. In the past, we have done this, we've called this August seminars, and they've been just after the year starts so that we can give people a refresher, get them thinking about, are they on track for membership, public image, youth, and foundation. And so, you know, the presidents have gone to pets in March, although I don't know what they did this year. They probably went all spring long. But so we have a delay in doing this because of the COVID and people were not meeting. And so we thought we should wait for a while. And we're doing it a little bit different this year. You know, in the past, we have said, foundation, you do a program, youth, you do a program. And we sort of had a bunch of cheerleaders up there, which was great to inspire us to get going. But what we tried to do this time was to meld them all together, because really they can't function without each other, and we need to learn to put them together in a way that our club can become functioning in all the areas. That's what we want to try to achieve today is we're going to talk about how each area might function with the other areas and how you might get them together and talk to each other about it instead of just having one person committees doing each of this area. And when David Flynn talks this afternoon about public image, of course, he's going to pull it all together and say, you know, we need to really figure out how to show people what Rotary really is. So Rachel Moses is the youth service chair, and she had a conflict today with their zone meeting. And so instead of having her juggle all of that, I agreed to do this part of the program. So if there are any questions that we don't have the answers to, then we'll get Rachel to answer those at some point. So it's a little bit different approach, and these are called Vibrant Club workshops. So we're going to look at how we can be a vibrant club in the area of youth service. So first, what is a vibrant club? And these are the areas that we think really affect being a good club. And that is engaging its members, conducting meaningful projects, trying new things, and being engaged with our Rotary Foundation. So part of that is going to be when you say engage your members, okay? What happens when you break out bring the little kids or the teenagers or whatever? People just love that. So youth is an area where I've heard fundraising people say, we've got to trot the little kids out there. Have y'all heard that? They say that. It's just heartwarming for us. You know, I don't think we're all old people in Rotary, but we got a few. So we can relate somewhat to the youth of our time, and we all wish that we had done more in our youth and that we had been stronger in Rotary and things like that. So I think youth is a way that you can really pull members in with their attention. It will engage them because they want to help the young people. So I think it's a real important area. It's an area where I think there's not a lot of training. And so that's one of the reasons why we're doing this today, just a little bit different approach. Instead of telling you about our youth programs, but they're going to be sprinkled in here. But instead of just telling you about the youth programs, we want to talk about how you can become engaging with that. So why is youth service good for our club? Does anybody know what this picture is? You can unmute yourselves, but if you are watching the game, you're going to have to mute them. Does anybody know what this is?
That's our Ryla camp.
Okay. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's fun.
And I had heard about it for years, but then I went, and boy, what fun. They had me on the thing you slide down. They had me in the giant swing. I was doing all of that. And I went to a Rotary International Convention, and there was a speaker that they had, and the speaker was so dynamic. I mean, he was a professional speaker, and his story was Ryla. He said, I got selected to be in Ryla. He said, I don't know why. I was a C student. I have no idea why they selected me, but they did. Maybe they thought I had potential. And he said, this old codger picked me up to take me to Ryla. And I thought, oh no, what's this going to be? But he said by the end of the day, he loved what they did. He went back to his school and changed his way and became a leader. It was just a tremendous story. And that Rotarian was in the audience at the International Convention. And he said, I am so glad you picked me up and took me to Ryla. So it's just a tremendous program. You know what it stands for? Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. Why do we call it that? Because at the end, they do give some awards based on how the kids performed that day. So why would this make us a vibrant club? Anybody?
The youth themselves just cheer up all us old folks.
That's right. They inspire us. It really, I guess that what I would say is it helps meet our needs. You know, Rotarians come to Rotary for all different reasons. And some of them want to be engaged with youth. And I think if you allow them an opportunity to be engaged with youth, that's one of our opportunities and responsibilities in Rotary, is to give people ways to be Rotarians in whatever form that is. And if it's working with the kids, then more power to them. And those people I adore, because that's really not my cup of tea, to work with the kids. Now, I will go and do all their activities with them and compete with them, but I'm not really that keen on, I mean, I would never babysit anybody because I'm afraid I'd kill them. But anyway, so it's just a great way that can make our clubs vibrant if we have a lot of active youth. Okay.
And Beth, one of the things we do is we always bring the RILA kids in to speak to our club after they have gone, and they share their experiences. And to me, to see those kids, it's like our hope of the future standing in front of us. And to know that our
Absolutely.
club was helpful in bringing to them the benefit of learning leadership skills and the fun that they have. They are so grateful, and the club is so excited after we have the kids come in that we've sponsored and tell about their experience and thank the club for it.
It's just every little time that your heart gets warmed, it's just another thing that makes you a better Rotarian. So I just love when we can do that, to warm people's hearts by the activities that we carry on. Now, this is a picture from the Interact conference. And if you've never been to the Interact conference, it is a wild and woolly thing. And our district has one, and a lot of districts do not have one. But the kids absolutely love going to this. And I've been several times. In fact, I've gone when I had no responsibility as a district governor or any other thing. But these interactors, when you see the amount of work that they do, they are working so much harder than us Rotarians. You just would not believe. They'll have books this high of their projects, don't they, Greg? It's incredible. I just can't explain to you how phenomenal some of the kids are in this world. I just can't believe it. And we get to see them in person right there, don't we, Greg? You unmute.
You gotta attend one of these, because there's about 650, 700 kids that are, you talk about energy, and like you say, it puts some of our clubs to shame of all the accomplishments, especially like Huntsville, clubs like that.
And it's a time when they can vie for scholarships.
Yep.
And I've served on the scholarship committee, and it is the hardest thing I've ever done to try to pick a winner, because they are incredible young people. They get it. They get Rotary, and whoever their sponsors are angels, in my opinion. But it's a tremendous part of our district and what we can do through Rotary. So what's in it for us? I think I've just explained it, of what it has been for me. But it also gives us an opportunity to work in Interact. If you haven't worked in Interact, that can be tremendously rewarding for your club members. But I want to caution you, don't make the 6-month member, don't put them in charge of starting an Interact club. Put someone in charge of that who has a passion for working with youth and has lived long enough in the world of Rotary to know what Rotary is, because really Interact is just a young person's version of Rotary. And so if you don't know about Rotary, don't put them in charge of Interact. Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to share about how Interact has touched someone's heart in your club?
Well, I'm sure you'll probably get tired of hearing from me, Beth, but I had the privilege of being able to go to the Interact conference last spring. And it was the last big event just as COVID was hitting. In
Yes.
fact, we were aware of the fact that COVID was becoming a pretty big thing. And so by the last day, everybody's so exhausted, they're coughing and people are covering their mouth. But it did not dampen the enthusiasm. I was so excited. It was the first time I'd ever been to one of the conferences. And those kids are just amazing. We had one of our sponsored students that was able to get a $3,000 BOMAR award, scholarship award. We had 2 of our students that we sponsored that took part in the 4-way test speech contest. And like you said, the energy is just amazing. They were the most polite and kind and sweet group of about, I think we had five students that were there. And it just warmed my heart. It did. It gave me hope for the future. It was the most amazing thing. And I would encourage anyone that can, just come over and check out the conference, because you can't be around that much positive energy with these amazing focused students without coming away with hope and belief that there is a future for us.
Yes, they're incredible. And these young men are in the talent show. So they have on Friday night, I believe it is, they have a talent show, and they have worked so hard to put their talent together. Some are individuals, and then some are in a group like this, and they just are so entertaining. I can't imagine how much work. I can't imagine when I was their age that I would work so hard. I was just busy doing basketball. So anyway, I would encourage you that if you, well, let's just go to the next slide. So if you don't have an Interact club, starting one can seem like a mountainous activity. And we have a person, Bruce Wilson. I'm going to have resources at the end with emails and all of that, and we will have contact information for all the important youth people in our district. But if you would like to start an Interact club, there is help on the Rotary website, and there is help from Bruce. But I would tell you that, and I think he would say the first thing out of his mouth might be, you need to find a really wonderful sponsor. Someone, a teacher, a principal, someone who has Rotary, they're a Rotarian at heart, but they're not in Rotary. And try to get, because it's going to be a lot of work for the sponsor. But so the sponsor has to really want to do that. The Interact conference, a lot of you have Interact clubs, but you might not be sending them to the Interact conference. I would say try that out. And I've got this under long range plans, because all of this, if you start an Interact club, it's going to take a while. So I think that's a long range goal. Some of you might be willing or thinking about starting a second Interact club. There are people in our district that have 3. And I heard Bonnie Fontana say earlier today, they were thinking of starting 3 more clubs. So those are long range goals in the area of youth. Starting a Rotaract club, that is another whole long range type activity, and those in our district can be either university based or can be community based. We have both. That is a growing area as well. Both of those, if I were to point out something that I think is hard about those, it would be that your membership is constantly changing. So that sponsor has to be the continuity. You have got to have the continuity there for it to continue. So you can imagine your high schoolers graduate. The ideal thing would be for them to go to Interact and then go to Rotaract and then become a Rotarian, because then they already get it. But that's Randy Corlew is our Rotaract person, and he can help you if you want to start a club if you're in an area where there's a university, or you think there are some young people, young professional group who maybe aren't ready for Rotary for financial reasons or for commitment reasons, whatever, raising family, those kinds of things. Maybe they can start in Rotaract. Now, youth exchange, that's something that if you wanted to start that, you'd need to start thinking about that. You can't just up and say, okay, youth exchange. You have to find out when their calendar is and when that process needs to start and when you need to have your person in for interview and all of that. So you can't just decide on a Tuesday in May that you're going to have a youth exchange. You need to plan that. You need to have maybe somebody in your club who has a grandchild or something that is interested in doing that, and that might get your club going, or somebody who's a traveler who knows what fun it can be and how life-changing it can be to go to other countries. So that's maybe the kind of person that you want to start youth exchange for you. And RILA, we've already talked about that, is in September. This year we canceled it because of the COVID. I think it'll be back on for next year. So you can be thinking for RILA for long range. So any questions about that? Okay, cool. All right. So annual goals. One of the things that we've talked about in the other sessions is goals. We keep talking about this goal thing. Why do you think that is? Because if we don't make any, we're not going to go anywhere. So in the area of youth service are many goals that you can achieve for your club. So when you have a president-elect, they should start looking at those goals and worrying about setting those goals. And there can be lots of different things. We have recognition at the district level for, we call it the YES Award, Youth Exchange and Service. And depending on how many things you do, you can receive recognition for that at the district conference. But Rotary Club Central is an excellent place to get maybe your president thinking who hasn't been thinking about youth. So look at that. And it's easier maybe to do something like RILA to begin with than maybe one of the other areas. Would anybody disagree with me on that? Because RILA is more imminent and it's a one-day thing. And so you've just got to get them there, get them back, get them signed up, that kind of thing. So do you all know what your club's goals are with regard to youth? You might go ask your president. It wouldn't hurt for everybody to have a look at what your club's goals are. If you're not the president, a lot of times you're left out of that loop and maybe only the board members know. So if you want to know, you need to ask, and maybe you can get them at a a club assembly to give that information. So, all right. So here's what I want to talk to you about that we don't talk about much. And that is, how can we elevate a member to take on something like youth service? So what kind of ideas have you got about that? How do you coach somebody and if you want them to take on a new role?
Hey, Beth,
Yes.
I think first you have to find the right fit for it. Just like you said, you're not necessarily a youth person that you participate. So you need to find somebody that is going to get involved and enjoy doing it. I have done our youth forever, but with me taking on a new role, I'm working on getting another person in there to take over. And he has kids at the high school. He he's very involved with the schools. And so anyway, you just work with them. But I would get somebody very enthusiastic that's going to work with the kids, because if you don't have somebody enthusiastic, then there's not going to be a lot of communication with your Rotary Club and the Interact Club. They need to get in there.
I think that's a great point, Cindy. And, you know, Shelley talked about finding your members' interests, and it's not easy. They don't stand up and say, hey, I really like to do, nobody really does that because they're afraid you put them in charge of something, right? Who has somebody in your club that has taken on a role and really blossomed with it? And tell me how that happened, maybe.
Well, Chuck knew it as Edna Varner.
Okay.
You never would have picked her out of a crowd to be the kind to go to RILA, but she loves it and the kids love her. And so she's been our youth person for quite a while. And she works with Exchange a little bit, but mostly for the RILA kids.
Beth,
Yes.
our former president, Ron Randall, came from a very active youth group or youth club in Colorado, and he has been in contact now with the Monroe County superintendent of the board, and she is getting involved with us to help us find ways to go out into the poorer communities and help these kids out. One of the ways that Ron has been talking about is something called a buddy bench, where it's a bench that's put in the high schools or the elementary schools, and the kids, if they've had a bad day, either it's emotionally at home or at school or with another student, can go sit on the bench and some mentor will come up and talk to the child. But Ron is really, he's just taken this full force. So we're really lucky that we have a very, very active member who is concentrating on youth.
Thank you. That's a good one.
I think it's important to, if you anyone that is interested in that we have a good leader in place. And the idea is that if you're a leader, then you train others and involve them in what you do. I think it's very important. I think every person who has a Rotary Club position or director needs to understand that. So first of all, finding someone who's interested and then having a mentor or leader in that position that helps them come on board, then it's not so overwhelming, I think.
That's one of my favorite things, Bonnie, is to invite somebody to go to training with me.
Right.
Who probably hasn't ever been and probably wouldn't go unless I invited them. But that's a way to get their foot in the door and see that there's something else out there and that we have youth service and that there are other people doing it.
Right. And then if the same people never train anyone, what if you drop dead? I don't care who you are, what you're doing.
Right.
If you don't train others, it dies away. So that's an important goal or focus, I think, for every club to have that perspective.
I agree. Does anybody have a success story they would share with us about somebody that you coached to lead?
Well, Beth, that wasn't a success story I had, but I was going to share one if you wanted to about youth. Yeah. I mentioned earlier about how big our club's Interact Club has gotten at the high school level. And we've had some great folks from the club that have been involved in that. Scott Smith is one. I know he just, I think, got signed up, voluntold maybe, I think, initially to help out with that, but he fell in love with it pretty quickly. And then Carol Welch is our other club member that's been hugely involved with that. Anyone knows Carol, she is just the most vibrant, one of those most vibrant personalities, so she has that youthful energy. And that served her well there. And then we have a great contact at the high school that's a staff member that's been involved with that. And that's provided that foundation, I think, for that program. But they are facilitators. As you mentioned earlier a little bit, the students will take on and do more by themselves. And the exponential growth that they had recently was because of a project the students took on, where they created a mentor program with the more senior class members to mentor the freshmen. And they put together a program on how they were going to do that, and then recruited to that program. And that was a big, huge initiative for them that really grew the membership through their work in that program.
Mhm. Oh, that's a good story. Thank you, JR. Anybody else got a great story they want to share with us about youth? Anybody have any four-way speech experience? My goodness, they can do public speaking. I was one of the judges. I wasn't a judge last year, but I arranged the judges, and they're having that now at the Interact conference, which is a little bit different. They used to have it in another location at another time, but it's now in, and you don't have to be in Interact to do the four-way speech contest. But I'm telling you, if they can do that at that age, they are going to go far, because we all know that's our biggest fear, right? The big crowd, the big speech. Can we inspire? Can we not? That four-way speech contest for them is just fantastic.
Beth,
Yes.
I attended my first Interact conference this past one, and in particular, I went to the four-way speech contest. Every Friday at the Rotary Club of Bearden, we end our club meeting saying that four-way, and I was blown away by what they did with the meanings of the four-way test and putting it into life situations, situations in the world. I sat there just mesmerized listening to these young people take this thing that I take so for granted and say every Friday. It was fabulous.
It really was. And, we've tried to highlight them at our district conference because they're just phenomenal. And they do it without a note, without any, no crutch. And last year, we didn't even let them have a podium or anything. They were just up on a stage. And it was just, it's just incredible. And that is something, having been a Toastmaster for a number of years and feeling really comfortable with speaking, I can say truly that is something that we can give the youth if we will take that on, if we will sponsor those speech contests and get them ready to engage with all of us on what they think about four-way test. It's incredible.
Hey,
Thank
Beth,
you for, yeah.
we did have the four-way speech test contest winner at the awards banquet luncheon in July, and I'll find that link and put it in there because we did record the awards luncheon. So she did a great job. Great job.
Thank you. So I would just say, I'm just going to go over a little list here of how you might coach members to lead. So we've already said you might ask them to take the kids to Ryla or pick them up. I think taking them and picking them up is better. Somebody can argue with me if you want. Ask someone to contact the youth exchange chair and find out what the details are of that and see if they would be willing to contact the schools and try to find a student for youth exchange. That would be outbound. Now, inbound is something else. You can sponsor a student if you think you're ready for that. And for a long time, I've been in Rotary for 29 years. Y'all know that, don't you? And I couldn't do it because I was a CPA and I lived in another town from where my Rotary Club is. And so I couldn't take the kid to school every day. It was too much for me. So I couldn't do it, but I'm getting ready to retire and I might do it. So think about that. Start with something small and build on it if you don't have anything going. Ask someone to go to the Interact conference. We already talked about that. See if you have any Toastmasters in your club who might be willing to have a 4-way speech contest. The money is huge on that if they win. I mean, I would do it if I could act like I was 17 again. Ask them to attend a training session that's going to be about youth or anything else. So those are all ways that you can coach a member to become a leader in an area. Has anybody got anything else they want to say, add to that? I hear my guy getting ready to do my lawn. Can y'all hear it? Okay, good. Well, tell me if it gets to be too much and I'll try to relocate or something.
Hey, Beth, just from the attending many RILAs and 4-way test speech contest and Interact conference, if you haven't attended one of these, you've got to go do it, because you don't understand the impact that we're having on the youth and how much they just relish and they're getting this foundation of service. And you have to go to one of these events. It just changes your whole outlook on what's going on with these kids. And when you have 600-700 teenagers there, hang on to your hat. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I didn't even say that. I mean, they kill us when it comes to attendance at their district conference.
Yeah,
They just kill us.
it's great. Yep.
Yeah.
And
There's,
Beth,
just so
one
you know, there's about, I think there are 55 Interact clubs in our district. And our district has 64 Rotary clubs. We have almost as many Interact clubs. And some of them are multiple clubs belonging to one Rotary Club. And I have interviewed the kids for scholarships and they don't even know what Rotary Club they're attached to because they're so independent and on their own. Sometimes they don't know who they belong to. Somebody started to say something, I interrupted. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Greg can probably tell us, but when we had the Interact conference this last spring, it was right after the tornadoes had come through Lebanon and Cookeville and all of that was going on. And so Greg put out a challenge to the kids if they wish to donate money for the rebuilding a project, the process that was going to take place, they could make a cash donation at that time. And Greg, how much did those kids come up with? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was actually Ron who made the challenge. And
Oh, it was Ron.
Ron.
Yep,
Ron.
and the amount was $1,270, give or take a few dollars.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Plus they gave money. Did they give money to Honor Air this year? I can't remember. I get the years mixed up, but it's crazy. And Beth, like you say, when you interview these kids for scholarships, you want to give everybody one. That's how good they are.
Yes. And it's just really, you know, the whole time I'm there, my eyes fill up with tears about 4 times a day when I hear what they're doing and how much they're doing and how selfless they are. It's just incredible. Okay, well, I think we've covered that pretty well. So, you know, you've seen that if you were on the calls this morning, we had the same slide. And so we want to talk about how to have a good committee. So anybody have a good youth committee that you want to talk about that can you tell what their activities are, how they split things up, or does anybody have one? You might be one-man band in some of the clubs. Okay, well, I'll give you some ideas to think about. If you're going to create a committee for that, there might be some things that you could do. And I think to get back to the Vibrant Club, the whole meaning of this program is, you need to have, we actually, I'll tell you, it's sort of a bad situation. We had a couple of members who were extremely active in Interact for a while. And when Rotary changed the rules and said that certain activities could be used as your attendance, they stopped coming to the Rotary meeting. Well, we didn't know what in the world was going on with our Interact Club, because we never saw the people who, and they were faithfully meeting with them. So, that is a failure of how that committee is functioning. You could probably let that happen, let that be their attendance, and let them not come to the club if they were communicating correctly with the club. But you've got to communicate what's happening, and irregular attendance is not a good thing for somebody who's going to chair something. And can I hear an amen on that? Because I know all of you have asked people to chair things and then they fade away, or maybe they were faded away and you didn't realize it to begin with. But that is a big problem, I think, with committee work, is if you lose contact and lose communication.
Beth,
Yes.
going back, our club, one of the things we do that I really love, and it gets the membership involved. We actually go to the school, and that's our club meeting at the school with the interactors. They interact with the students. The students love it. We do, of course, COVID is, that's been a problem this year, but that really goes over well when we get with those kids. And the club members, they don't even realize what all the things the kids are doing. And so we that's a great way to find out what your club's doing.
Okay, so communication, you'll agree with me, that is a superpower of a committee. Superpower.
Absolutely.
And don't try to do everything alone is another biggie, because in Rotary, people get better jobs. I mean, they're leaders. They're leaders in their community. They're going to get promotions, that things are going to change. And if you had one person who was in charge of everything in one of these areas, youth or otherwise, you know what happens. It falls down. And it's hard to resurrect when something falls down. So it doesn't have to be a one-man band. Find resources for the committee. If you're the president-elect, a leader in the club, if you look around, you should try to know who your Rotarians are. And one of the reasons that we try to do that is so that we can place them in the right area where they can be useful and helpful in the club. So look around for who might be the right fit for whatever committee you're doing. And then find training for folks to attend and publish it, promote it. Like I said, ask them to go with you. Let's ride together. It's fun to travel together. And then you can learn more about that person and whether they're going to fit in that group. But all those things will strengthen your committees. And if you can have this underlying foundation for your president that creates this strength and continuity, then when that president rotates off, you can continue on. And that's because maybe you had long-range goals, you have short-range goals, and you repeat some of that annually. How many of you have had somebody that you put in as president that hadn't even served on the board? It's awful. It's awful. Have them rotate through the committees if you can. Send them to Ryla. There's just several things you can do to help people become stronger in Rotary. So has anybody got anything else they want to add to effective committees? Try to find the right people, communicate. Don't have to be a one-man band. All those things. Find resources for them. Ask them if they need money. That'll get their attention. Do you need money for your committee? What am I supposed to be doing? Money talks, right? Okay. Anybody want to add anything to that? Greg, you want to add anything?
No, but the challenge you have sometimes in smaller clubs is you're often looking for a president nominee in that, and sometimes you don't have much choice. We had a guy die right before he became president a couple of years ago, and it's a little tougher in the smaller clubs versus the larger clubs. But I agree. To me, you got to take people and get them to go to these things and see, and then they'll get inspired.
They usually do.
Did you see my note, Beth, in your chat?
No. Do I have a chat?
Yeah. Well, I found I have a video of the first place winner of the 4-way speech contest from 19. If you want me to play it.
How long is it?
5 minutes.
Do y'all want to hear that?
I don't know.
Let's hear some of it.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's hear some of it.
Okay, let me pull it up here. Hang on. Take down your slides, Beth, please.
Okay, let's see. Stop sharing.
Okay, hang on a second here.
All right, we have time.
Yeah, hang on. Let me. I got to share my screen now.
Do you know what club she was from?
Yeah, it says on the. It'll say
Okay.
on the video. So.
Okay.
Let me share my screen.
All right.
Share screen.
This is unplanned.
Boom, boom. Okay, she's from Smith County High School.
Okay. Grace Harville.
Yeah, why? Hello.
It's spinning.
There we go. This is why I want to be sure we record them next time, Beth.
That feeling when you've helped someone, when you've given someone a hand up and not a handout, when you've helped to lighten someone's load during a hard time. Throughout my Interact Club career, there have been so many life lessons learned. The communication skills, the leadership opportunities, the friendships that have been made, and yes, the knowledge of how to apply the Rotary 4-way test to the things that I think, say, and do. But the best thing that I've learned during my time in Interact Club is that it's not about me. It's about who we serve. This poses the question, is giving back to those in your community important? I will now put this question to the Rotary 4-way test. In the beginning, I didn't think much about the citizenship projects that I did in my elementary school, collecting cans for our local help center, donating items to the Ronald McDonald House, and making candy bags for our local nursing home patients to pass out during Halloween. But as I moved into junior high and then on to high school, these projects took on a bigger meaning. We still collected those canned goods for the help center, but this time around, I actually got to deliver those canned goods. The looks on the faces of the help center volunteers were priceless. I never knew that a can of green beans could bring so much joy. But you see, those volunteers working at the help center were actually working to take food home to their families. It wasn't about me, it was about who I was serving. Through this experience, we learned that it is the truth. Giving back to those in your community is important. In high school, those items that were donated to the Ronald McDonald House also included a meal for the family staying there. Roast, pinto beans and relish, green beans, cornbread, mac and cheese, sweet tea. Whew, we really took a spread. As my club was serving the families, a dad of a little girl who had cancer came through the line. He was a big burly guy, but his face showed otherwise. He was tired and troubled, and his head was down. I was the pinto bean girl that night, and as I spooned him up a bowl of pinto beans, I said, "Would you like some relish with that?" He raised his head slowly, and our eyes met. "Is that homemade relish?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I responded. His eyes filled with tears, and he said, "Now that takes me back home." "Yes, thank you. I will have some relish." It wasn't about me. It was about who I was serving. Is giving back to those in your community fair to all concerned? Certainly. Now, those candy bags that we pack for our local nursing home, well, all of the residents that want to participate sit at their doors and pass them out to children that visit on Halloween. From 3:30 to 5:30 each Halloween, trick-or-treaters pass through the halls. Last year, I stood at the door with a 96-year-old resident named Miss Cornell. She so enjoyed getting to see the children in their costumes and getting hugs from them. As I was getting ready to leave that night, she took me by the hand and said, "Grace, thank you so much for coming tonight. This has made me feel young again." It wasn't about me. It was about who I was serving. Does giving back to those in your community build goodwill and better friendships? Most definitely. Now, don't get me wrong, I've loved focusing on my goals during my time in Interact Club. Volunteering at the Owl's Nest and after-school program, helping at the Kids Central celebration at our local children's park, and attending Citizenship Washington Focus in Washington, D.C. All of these accomplishments were great, but they all failed in comparison to a night a few weeks ago when a local Interact mom from my county came up to my mom and told her that her daughter looked up to me and wanted to do as well as I had in Interact. Even when I didn't realize it, I had helped her want to do her best. Even when I didn't know it, it wasn't about me. It was about who I was serving. Is giving back to those in your community beneficial to all concerned? Absolutely. As my high school career comes to a close, I think about the time spent giving back to others, and I simply don't want it to end. So come fall 2019, my life's work will begin. I will be attending UT Knoxville, majoring in agricultural leadership, education, and communications with the concentration in agricultural leadership. Yes, that's right. I want to be a 4-H extension agent and continue giving back to those in my community. As said by the late George H.W. Bush, the American dream means giving it your all, trying your hardest, accomplishing something. And then I'd add to that, giving something back. No definition of a successful life can do anything but include serving others. So, with the utmost humility, I stand before you today and proclaim, it's not about me. It's about who I will serve. Thank you.
Tears in the eyes again. Thank you, Greg. That was good to hear. If y'all hadn't heard that, and I'm telling you, they're all fantastic speakers.
Yeah, I saw her deliver that speech. Actually, I was in the room when she delivered that speech. She is as good as the video is. She's even better in person. Yes. She competed again. We competed with her in the region at speech contest. She's an excellent young lady.
Cool. Very cool. Thanks again, Greg. All right, so I'm going to share my screen just to close this thing out. And let's see if I've got it here. Share. You have to say share, don't you? Come on. All right. So let's get past this. Okay. I want it go forward, Greg. Okay. So here are our resources for information. And there's a training tab on our Rotary website, on our district website. And it's rotarydistrict6780.com. And under the training tab, we'll have these presentations there today. And, you know, so if I were going to name some clubs, and I don't know everything about all the clubs in the district, but as far as youth service goes, you know, of course, the club that Rachel is in, she's been involved in the youth for a very long time. So that's Cookville Breakfast Club. Sparta is heavily involved in youth service. They're always doing things. Chattanooga is involved in youth service. Chattanooga Breakfast, I know you guys are involved. Radley Sunrise, Oak Ridge, you know, they are vibrant clubs when it comes to youth. They must love it. And I appreciate all those clubs. But there's some information on our website. You can look there. You know, Pigeon Forge is another club. Of course, they host the Interact conference in Pigeon Forge. And believe it or not, even a club that struggles with membership and everything else might be a vibrant club in the youth service area. Rockwood Rotary Club has been struggling with their membership for years, and they do event after event for the youth. It's unbelievable how dedicated they are. Seymour is another club that I know is heavily involved with youth. So there are lots of them. So what steps can you take? You know, just figure out how to get involved, how to get started. Find the right people. We've sort of said the same things over and over. Go to training, learn more about it, go to an event. What else can you think of to make our club a vibrant club in youth service?
Showing that speech at a club meeting and putting it on Zoom for people to see would be outstanding. That would make everybody cry and want to do something, for heaven's sakes. Even if you're not engaged, it's like, really? Seriously, that's outstanding, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got, I did all the speeches that year, but I do have the top 3, and I thought I posted them on Facebook, but if anybody wants the speeches, the top 3, I'll be glad to share them with you. The kids are good. They're really good.
I think, Beth, and Greg, that by sharing that with the current Interact Club members, when we're trying to encourage them to do the 4-way test speech contest, would be a great motivator for them. It would also be great for them to see how the Interact Club has affected Grace's life and how they can expect it to affect theirs as well. So I think there's several reasons why that would be a very valuable video to be able to share with the interactors.
You know, the winner from several years ago out of the Kingston Club, a young man, and he's got over 3,500 views on YouTube of his video. That's how good he was. Really good. I'll get that posted somewhere.
Well, that's a wrap that I have for youth, unless you've got a question for me or anybody else on this presentation. Hi, Anita. Anita's here for public relations. Thank you so much for joining us on the youth portion today, and I hope you learned something. And let's see, Greg, I see a bunch of stuff in the chat. Okay, you told me about the video. Was there anything in the chat we didn't cover? Okay.
I think we covered most of that. And
Okay, JR put on here. He's the one that has an 8-year-old at home. He said his Interact Club has been a lot more successful than their Rotaract Club. A big part of that success has been the teacher at the high school who's been so involved. But also the kids themselves did an amazing presentation on how they recruited new members. And then Colleen says, our tri-club plan is to identify 4-way speech interactors in our 2 clubs that will participate and have them present in front of our clubs for practice. Last year's Fairfield Glade Interactor was a little nervous presenting to a large conference group and would have benefited from practicing, but she did great. Practice is all it's about in public speaking, y'all. That's all it's about. You got to practice. So anyway, good to have you. And we are going to go to the next session, which is going to be David Flynn, and he's going to talk about public image, public relations. And David is, I find, very knowledgeable, and he's a bit of a geek. And, you know, your public relations people need to be a bit of a geek if they're going to be on Facebook and websites and all such as that. So I am in awe of the computer geeks. I just want you to know that. I want you to know that, David. I'm in awe. And just this is going to be the final session on our Vibrant Club workshop. And David, I really appreciate the fact that you would do this and take your time and get off the spaceship and come with us on this journey. But he's from Rotary Club of Lafayette, and he's our public image chair for the district. And so I hope you enjoy. David, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Beth. My name is David Flynn. I'm the tech director for the school district here in Macon County. So she's pretty accurate with her description. I am a geek. I love technology. I love all things sci-fi technology. And in most of my meetings, I either have Star Wars or Star Trek background, which I have there. But with it being the day it is, I do have to give a shout out to my hogs, hoping that they will perform better today than they did last Saturday for the entire game instead of the first half. But we are in Rotary meetings. I'll switch back to my Rotary virtual background and use that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And just to keep everybody focused, this is the current UT score for all of you that are trying to pay attention while we're trying to do all this Rotary meeting. So I know I'm surrounded and I'm in the minority being a hog. So yeah. I'm surrounded by UT fans, and it is 6-21 in Knoxville. So
yay!
There you go. All right. Let me get up and going here. This is my first time out to do this in this format with this group. I think I have Zoomed more in the last year than I ever thought was humanly possible. But conducting trainings during Zoom and during COVID is certainly an interesting challenge. I'm much more of a face-to-face people person, and I much prefer that. So I hope this goes well with us, and you bear with me while we work through this. Now, while my screen is full screen, I cannot see the chat. So if there are some things in the chat, somebody just let me know. But we are going to shift to your club and the public image plan. And I stole this quote actually off something Beth sent me. And when I read the article, I would love to have this quote somewhere on the wall for where we meet, because this to me just is one simple statement that just exemplifies Rotary and ties into what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes in public image, in that you don't have to think about anything else but making the world a better place, do things for other people, and the world will be a better place, and you will have played a tiny part. And that's my thought process. And we'll see that article in a minute, but to me, that just exemplifies Rotary. But the reason I put that in this session as the header on my cover slide is that while that is true, that is our mission here, we have to relay that mission out into the world, out into the community. And that's the focus of the public image session we're going to talk about here. When we talk about a vibrant club, and I know we've spent most of the day with the focus on a vibrant club, how do our clubs become more vibrant? How do we accomplish being a vibrant club? The public relations plan that wraps around that is so crucial to getting that to be successful out into your communities, out into even your club members who want to know what's going on with Rotary and see their work acknowledged, engaging your members, conducting meaningful projects, trying new ideas, engaging with the Rotary Foundation. All of those things are so crucial about the public image plan of your Rotary. Now, I need to back up just a second because I've already forgot. Greg, did we do our poll?
No. Oh, just a second.
we do have a small poll just before we get too deep into this.
Yeah, hang on, I'll get it up for you. Okay, there it is.
There's the poll. Everybody take just a second to answer the poll questions that are now on your screen. So I can see that we have answers rolling into that. And I'm glad to say, well, things are changing. I don't know what y'all's view is. My view is the results of this poll. So what can y'all see? I have not used a poll in Zoom before. Can y'all see the percentage changing?
No.
Only I can see that.
Only the co-hosts, yeah.
Okay.
We got one more person to vote. Maybe. All right, 95% of the people voted. Here's the results.
All right, there we go. My club has a designated public image committee, yes and no. So hopefully when we work through some of this today and as we look at some of the importance of this, maybe we'll all think that we need a public image committee and we'll have one. I know who serves as a public image chair for my club. One of the questions I almost put was, do you have one? You know, that's going to be crucial to this session as well. And then my club has a PR communications plan, and you can see we're almost split on that one of yes and no. So that's a crucial piece of this as well. So interesting feedback. That's about what I expected, not too surprised by that. All right, let's get rid of the poll. Is the poll gone?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. One of the things I want us to think about as we go through this, I'm going to go back one slide, is what does your club have in their PR toolbox? When it comes to public relations and getting the word out from your club, what's in your toolbox for public relations? What does your club use? We're probably all using a lot of the same resources, but what is in your PR toolbox that is making your club have a successful public relations plan? So some of the things we're going to focus on for the next few minutes will be some of the tools that are out there that can add to your toolbox if you've not seen them, and how to use them and what do they look like. And hopefully when we get done today, you'll have a little better idea of what all tools are out there that you can add to your PR toolbox to make your community relations plan or public relations plan even stronger than it is. Let me change my slide here. One of the things that public relations is at the heart at is that it gets the mission of Rotary out into the world. I think we all know and would all agree that the communities have changed that we serve. You know, we are not living in the same communities that we used to live in, and the dynamics have greatly changed for the communities that we serve. I know that's true here in Macon anyway. We definitely have a different dynamic from the days when I grew up where everybody knew everybody to now most everybody around is somebody we're not sure who they are, and we don't communicate that out as well. The sense of community has dampened a little bit, and that's a real loss. So the public image and public relations of Rotary is probably more important than ever because we don't know each other. We're not as well connected as we used to be. One example of this that I'd like to show, what Beth sent me this article. And Beth, why don't you want to tell us about this article?
Okay.
Just a second.
I sent this to David because we actually had an individual call our club, call the Daily Times to find out who they could call about this article because they wanted to be in our club. And I just thought that was amazing. And when he came, so he came the very next week, we invited him to come to a club. And when he came, he said, well, what do I do next? I mean, you know, we have to think about when we receive someone, are we doing a good enough job? Are we really receiving them? And then saying, you know, are you interested in joining? But anyway, this is an article about our Rotarians of the Year. And you wouldn't think necessarily that your Rotarian of the Year article would bring a new member, but it did. And the quote that David had, I think, was from this article, and it just really says it all. If all you want to do is make the world a better place. And I think that's cool. And thank you for sharing it.
I think that's one of the key principles right there why public relations is so important. There are so many people changing in our communities that are coming in and out that we don't know. We don't know what their purpose in our community might be, but they're seeking a way to be involved. And if they don't know Rotary exists and they don't know what your goals and accomplishments are, they don't know to get with you. So this article is a perfect example of why PR is so crucial to the Rotary mission. And it's a really good article. I would encourage everybody to take a moment and read it. It's in the presentation that'll be in the save for y'all after we get done with this today. But it's a very good article. I really enjoyed reading it. I appreciate Beth sending it to me.
Of course.
All right. Best practices in regards to public relations wraps around short-term and long-term goals for public relations. You know, what are your short-term goals for your club and how you're going to handle public relations? And is it just the radio? Is it newspaper, Facebook, Twitter, websites? Most everything has migrated over to social media in the last few years. Websites are, I won't say a thing of the past because they're not, because we still use them. But when you get ready to go to a restaurant or you get ready to go, you're in a town that you're visiting on vacation, you're looking for restaurant choices, nobody's going out to Google, they're going to Facebook. They're getting on social media to try to find reviews of restaurants, menus, or Facebook has become websites now because everybody's embedding their stuff onto social media. So what's your social media plan look like? Do you have one? And then long-term goals revolve around your communication plan. And how does that communication plan for public relations grow your club to be a more vibrant club? So we're going to look at both of those things today as well. To develop annual goals, there is a really good place to start, and we're going to look at that here in just a second for Rotary Club Central. But does your club have annual goals in regards to public relations? What is this year's goals that your club sets and what you want to accomplish in regards to public relations and all the things that your club is carrying out? How does public relations support that carrying out of those goals and those missions? Are they attainable? We've all probably been involved with projects that the goal was so lofty there was no way to accomplish it, but we probably didn't figure that out till after it was over. And you certainly want to try to avoid that. Can we use Rotary Club Central to set these milestones? Rotary Club Central has some interesting resources for us, and I want to look at those just a second. And I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the slides and some websites, so just bear with me while we do this. This is Rotary Club Central, and if you've not been to Rotary Club Central, probably everyone in this meeting today has, but there are resources here for every one of the things that's been talked about today, but I want to strictly focus on these right here, the public image resources. Brand Center is a really awesome place to get your resources for your clubs, and we're going to come back to Brand Center in a moment. But there are also things like a voice and visual guidelines. And Beth and I, we had a little discussion about do we launch this or not, because a lot of times when you click this, you're going to get an error message and a file will download. So I just downloaded the file myself. And what you have, if you go to that page, is this document, the Rotary Story Voice and Visual Identity Guidelines. I had never seen this document, and I doubt very many people have probably seen this document. I don't know who has and who hasn't, but it is worth your time to go through it. Greg's seen this document. There's a real surprise, Greg. Greg is the one who gave me People of Action, which I am now addicted to. I use it all the time. The Rotary's Visual and Voice Identity Guidelines. This is a very interesting document, and I'm not going to obviously go through all of this, but it has some very good information about what's the purpose of public relations, how does it relate to the mission of your Rotary, and if you're going to develop a public relations committee, which I hope you are, this is a document they should have. They should have this document. Probably all members should have this document. It is a very good public relations document. I enjoyed working through it and seeing what was in it. But when you go to the website through Rotary Central, you're going to get an error message. I don't know why that's happening, but it will drop that document down for you, and you'll be able to download that document, which is this document. It's well worth your time to look at this document and just see exactly what's in there. How do they want this to play out? It's just a very interesting document, especially if you're a geek, because it talks about JPEGs and color images and all these kind of things that I truly love. But if you're and there's a good point right there, your public relations person or whoever's going to manage your social media, they need some tech skills. That is not somebody you give to that is not a role you assign to somebody who has zero tech skills. You want them to have some social media, computer tech skills so they can pull this off. The other document that's there is a messaging guide. Let me get that up for you. And it looks like this. And this is what's in it about bringing Rotary's brand story to life. What is messaging? Rotary's brand voice. Everything in this document is crucial information to public relations success. And this is another excellent document that I would suggest you give to your PR committee if you have one, if they've not seen it. If you're on the beginnings of creating a public relations committee and chair, give them this document. It's got a lot of really excellent information about, for example, building your audience profile. Who are you trying to get this word to? Who are they? What's going to motivate them? What's your goals? Supporting messages. It's an excellent document to try and build your public relations committee to be stronger if you have one, or if you're just beginning that process, to start with this. So both of those documents are available here on Club Central. Both of those documents will give you an error message, but they will drop that document down for you so you can save that document. One of the other things that's really excellent on Rotary Central is the video resource library. And these are wonderful videos that help promote Rotary in a way that a lot of people in your community may not even be aware Rotary even does that. I think we have probably a time in our communities where people aren't real sure maybe what Rotary even does, or who, we all know we're in it. Our club members, I hope, know, but does our community understand what Rotary's purpose and goal really is all about? And these videos they're short. I'm not going to play them, but they're really good. Here's one on polio. So right now, while we're getting ready to ramp up the Pinky Donut project, there's a video out there that would make an excellent PR resource to throw on your Facebook page, throw on your website, link to it, and let your community know we're fixing to launch this purple Pinky Donut. Why are we selling donuts? What's this all about? That's an excellent video to support that public relations message that is available for you at Rotary Central. All right. And if somebody has questions, somebody tell me. If there's something in the chat, somebody tells me, because I am really bad about nonstop talking. So somebody just tell me. Let me get back where I was. One of the things about public relations and holding engaging meetings is that your public relations plan should support that engagement. If you think about a past club project or activity, how did public image work within that? Was that project supported through public image? Was it related out through your club's media sources? Was it put in the paper? Was it put on the radio? How was public image a piece of that engaging meeting and what you were trying to accomplish? Knowing your audience, how are you going to express in your social media or through your PR public relations plan what you're trying to accomplish and what your goal is? It would be very easy to just do a Facebook page, but communities are all different. We have lots of people without internet that do not have multimedia resources. So what are your other options to reach your entire community? It may be newspapers, it may be radio, but are we using all of the resources in our toolbox to get our Rotary message out there for our public relations plan. One of the things that I also like about a tool we're going to look at in a few minutes is, does your brand travel with you? That's where people of action can come into your public relations plan, and one of your toolbox resources is that when you have an image out there on your social media site and it's non-branded, and somebody takes that image and moves it somewhere else or shares it, and your brand and your message doesn't go with it, you've lost all the impact that you were trying to have through your public relations plan. So we're going to look at people of action. I know in PETS training that Cindy did a couple weeks ago, there was some comments in the PETS training about we didn't know that resource was out there. So I definitely want to make you aware of where that resource is and how that works. All of this public relations toolbox and planning and committee working together with all the other committees that go on in Rotary is such an important key piece into becoming that vibrant club, which we all want to be. So I hope that you will look at these tools as we go through them. One of the places I would suggest anyone start is to have a communication plan. You know, do you have a public image, public relations plan? And what is that plan? Do your members know that plan? A lot of clubs, you know, as we saw in the poll, some have a communication plan, some do not. There is a template for a communication plan in the slides embedded with you that you can use as at least as a jumping off point if you're trying to create a communications plan for public image. I would suggest you look at this document, tweak it. That's what it's meant to be. This is simply a template, but it's a really good starting place if you have a plan that maybe you want to compare this template to the plan to see if there's some missing pieces. Or if you're new to building a community engagement plan, a public relations plan, that you could use this document to get started with. There are some really good ideas in this document that have got, you know, did we achieve the objectives? You know, that there are pieces in your plan to self-check. Did we set out to accomplish what we set out to do? Or will we change something next time? Did we reach the right people? I think that right there is key to a public relations plan. Did we reach the right people? Who is our audience? That's one of the crucial things I think a public relations committee has got to wrap their head around, is knowing their community, knowing who's in the community that you're trying to get this message out to, and what was the message you relayed about your club. You want your club to be seen as the vibrant club that's serving your community, that's serving the state internationally as well. Is the plan serving that purpose, and is your committee doing its job and working to promote that vibrant club image out into the community? So knowing your audience, knowing who you're trying to reach, it is a crucial piece of your communication plan. I wish it would quit doing that. It keeps jumping back to my first slide, and y'all get to see me flip through these. One of the things that is one of my favorite things to do, because like Beth said, I am a geek. I love social media. I enjoy it greatly. And one of the ways that I try to get the message out into our community about what Rotary truly does is through Facebook, because that's basically what we're all using primarily for public relations and getting our message out there. I'm going to switch just a second to our Facebook page. This is our Facebook page for Lafayette. Nothing fascinating there right now, I'm sure. Everybody's got a Facebook page. This is our cover photo, and it's branded, so Greg would be happy to see that I branded our cover photo. He's giving us a big thumbs up. But this is our Rotary Club page of Lafayette. But one of my favorite things to do, and I do it off and on when I have nothing else to do, is to find Rotary clubs in other parts of the world and in other parts of the state, other states, and find out what they're doing and then share. And I like them. So I wonder how many Rotary clubs I actually like in my own Facebook page, because it's a bunch. I have my favorites. Rotary Club of San Francisco West, I love. Rotary Club of Singapore, I think is fascinating. There are several that are in Africa that are amazing, but I can't read the language. I have to use some kind of Google Translate to figure out what the message is. But they've got some videos about things that are just fascinating. But what I do with those is when I see something like this one right here, I did an example for us. This is a Rotarian out of Africa that's actually on the Time magazine 100 most influential people of the year, but he's a Rotarian. That right there took about 2 minutes for me to share that to our Rotary page, and now it's out there in our community as a link to why Rotary's message is. This is an excellent video, and we're not going to watch it, but I mean, it's just fascinating. Here's another one from Rotary out of Africa about this baby's survival because of equipment Rotary was able to purchase to help this baby live. Excellent communication piece on the mission of Rotary International and what we're trying to accomplish and all the different service projects we do. But social media makes this possible because it's so easy to do. There's another one, report from operations. This one is out of Singapore. It's one of my favorites. I mentioned that at Rotary Singapore is one of my favorites. This is their polio video. And as every club begins to work with polio right now because of the time of year we're in, they all have such different approaches to it. But if you find Rotary clubs where polio is actually a battle, I know in the United States, when, a lot of people seem to think, oh, that's not important. We're not battling that. But you see children are still battling this process, this disease. And other Rotary clubs are sharing that. That is such a key public relations piece to connect to your community. But it takes no time to do it. Another one, San Francisco West, one of my favorites. They have some amazing projects going on over there that I truly enjoy. I like the message of this post. For to reach real peace in this world, it shall begin with children. So, but all of that is just simply a share to her Facebook page. But that does, I think, such an excellent job of connecting your local communities to state projects, to other clubs, to national projects, and then to international connections to Rotary that would never be possible before without social media connecting those together. So whoever is your public relations chair or committee and running your Facebook page, I would encourage them to like as many Rotary clubs as they can. They're endless. I tell you, there's a gazillion of them, but it's such an easy way to make a connection for your community to see what Rotary is really trying to accomplish. So I love that. I love surfing out Rotary clubs and seeing what they're doing. I'm sure that's going to jump me right back to my first slide. I do not know why it's doing that. And it just shut down completely, even more promising. So let me restart the presentation.
I love that you steal all these Rotary page things because I've done that myself to do my presentations on the Rotary Foundation. I've gone in to people's Facebook pages of the district, the various clubs, and found their project pictures.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're buried.
They are.
Because they'll put the speaker and all this stuff. I'm like, forget that speaker and forget that, unless you're just a speakers club, like maybe Aaron might say Chattanooga was, maybe.
One of the things that'll be easy for your public relations people to do is once you start liking all these Facebook pages, they constantly pop up in my Facebook feed. So from my phone, it takes me like 30 seconds to throw that over because I'm admin of the Lafayette Rotary Facebook page. It doesn't even take 30 seconds for me to just hit share, choose Lafayette Rotary, and that's on our page. So it's constantly showing up in my own feed. And it's just a great social media tool, I think, to connect Rotary together. I doubt that people truly understand the wide reach that Rotary has in our community and probably in a lot of communities. Rotary's reach is enormous, but it's so hard to get that message out there. And I think the Facebook page of sharing all these different pages from all over the world and all over the country just really make that come together for your community. So that's just one of my favorite things to do. I said when I have nothing else to do, since virtual school started, I seem to never have anything to do, but I still enjoy surfing Rotary pages. All right. in regards to this slide about coaches member to lead, all I want to say about that is that, if before we were in COVID times, we could all get together and meet face to face. And that would be my preference for sure. But if any club would ever like a public relations presentation, especially on some of these tools, I would be glad to try and work that out. Not that I have the end all knowledge on public relations, and Beth just sent me a reminder that I appreciate and will set me a timer. But I love all these social media tools and all this people of action tools and how all that works. I truly do enjoy it. So if anybody is interested ever in your clubs having some social media people of action type training, I would love to do that. I love to do training and things for our district here. So I would be more than happy to do that.
David, you've got a couple of comments in the chat box.
I can't see them, so somebody have to tell me what they are.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. There's a question. Do you find that liking a post is not the same impact as when someone leaves a comment?
Well, yes and no. I would prefer that somebody leave a comment, but if especially for something that we are doing, in one of our projects, it doesn't happen a lot as much as I wish it would. I would much rather see a parent comment on a dictionary project. Thank you for giving us a dictionary because we didn't have one or had no resources to have one, because that would be truly impactful. But you promote your dictionary project and you have all these likes, and that's awesome. But I do think comments personalize your missions more, and that personalize what's happening more.
And here's another one. It says, David, can you put links in here for those docs you shared from my Rotary? I could not find those doing a quick search, and those were new to me. I've only seen the branding guides for Rotary and People of Action.
Yeah, before I will send Beth and Greg a final copy of this presentation, and I will put those links back in there or put the actual documents in there. Yeah, they were hard for me to find as well. So, and then when that error message started, mine errored out 3 or 4 times before the document actually downloaded. But yep, I'll put them in there for you. No problem.
Hey, David, I just want to call people's attention to the chat box because I put the links in there for the videos of the 4-way speech or test speech contest too. So you can copy the links
to those documents.
To the videos, the young high schoolers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Greg. One thing about committees that, especially when it comes to public relations, is that your public relations committee really is a thread through all these other committees that you see here. You've got administration, membership, Rotary Foundation, service, youth service, and public relations is a piece of all of that, because you want to get that message out there and you want to promote all of that. So your public relations committee needs to be interwoven into all of your other committees. And one of the questions that has come up through all of this is, do we have too many committees? Are they all functional? Are they serving their best purpose? And that's something probably everyone needs to look at. But your public relations committee needs to be woven through every bit of this so that they are a promoting piece of all the work that's being done and what the mission of Rotary is trying to accomplish. I think we do a really good job of promoting what we have done, but I think we probably could all do a better job in promoting what we're about to do. Future events, what's coming in Rotary, what's on the horizon in Rotary. I'm bad about that myself because I'm usually running last minute to get things done, and I'm PR in our club's current projects. But I think it would be better for our community if I would do a better job of promoting future events and what's coming in Rotary. I think we're missing some key pieces there. And I see a lot of Rotary pages that are working in that same way. We're all highlighting what we're doing today, but we're not discussing or promoting what we're going to do in 2 weeks. So I think that, is a definite change we need to make here. And probably a lot of us are in that same situation. As far as tools in your toolbox, there are things in Brand Center that really do work well for this. There's image matters, your guidelines, your templates, your current logos, your people of action, all of that is in Brand Center. And if you've not been to Brand Center, let's take a look at that. This is Brand Center, and is actually a very functional piece of my Rotary. It works very well. There's no error messages here. It works really, really well. But all of these are in Brand Center, and they are all currently changing. They always are updated. And that's one reason I like to go here to get my logos. I used to not be good about that. I used to Google that, to be honest. I'm a big Googler. Used to Google Rotary logo, grab one, use it, and put it in there. But then I got to noticing, because I think either I heard Greg say it or somebody, somewhere I ran into somebody, you need to use a current Rotary logo. That had not occurred to me, that I might not be using the current Rotary logo. So I switched my process there and started using Brand Center for that, because the logos are always current. That is crucial to how you promote your Rotary, because you want to use the current Rotary logos, and they're always correct. So when you're in Brand Center and you go to logos, whoever the Brand Center guru is, they are putting the current logos out there and keeping that refreshed for us, so they're always accurate. So Brand Center has always got current logos out there. They have current logos for Interact, for Rotaract, all the pieces of Rotary. There are people of action links. There are materials, there are ads, there are videos that you can share to your Facebook pages, share to your websites. There are virtual backgrounds, I guess, because we've all become part of the Zoom COVID world. There are Zoom backgrounds there for Rotary, like the one I'm using. Greg has one behind him as well. That's another simple way to PR Rotary, use a virtual background that has Rotary in it when you're in some kind of meeting. But all of those are in there. PowerPoint templates. It's a great resource. I just can't express enough how much I enjoy Brand Center as far as what's in there for your public relations committee, because it's a really great set of tools. All right.
Hey, David, you have a question in the chat about wondering if other social media out there has better appeal to younger folks. Facebook is getting a little long in the tooth, but I still use it daily.
I'm a big Insta user. I don't prefer Facebook myself. I prefer Instagram. I love IG. And that is something I would love to see our club locally here move to. And I feel like they're just going to say, well, just do it and take care of it, make it happen. And I have yet to do that. But I do think Instagram, I'm not a Snapchat fan, and I know a lot of social media has moved to Snapchat with young kids, and I have a lot of dislike for Snapchat because of the things that are possible in Snapchat with young children. I don't want to see Rotary embrace a platform that is on a warning list for parents to be unsafe to children. I think that's a bad maneuver for us to do. Instagram, however, I love. I think that's one that is very, very usable with Rotary. The things I like about Facebook is that it's much more functional in regards to what you can share and what you can put on your Facebook page. Instagram's a little more limited, but I do think, I agree with you. I do think the kids in the younger community have switched away from Facebook onto other things. So if I was going to add one thing to my social media, or to our social media here, it would be to create Lafayette Rotary Instagram, and I do feel like that's on the horizon. All right. One of the things that I wanted to spend just a little bit of time on is branding your work. I had never thought of this concept when I was doing our Rotary, social media and trying to get our message out there, until I think Greg brought us the branding concept when he was coming to see us. And once I thought through that process, it made a lot of sense. And now I'm addicted to people of action. I use it all the time to do it. I wish I had it for the school district. I would love to have a Macon County Schools people of action page, because it'd make my life so much simpler. And I try to push out school system stuff. But branding your work, why does this matter? And what are we referring to when we brand our work? And we're going to look at that here in just a second. But why does it matter? How complicated is it to do it? excellent role for members of the PR committee. And then I've got some examples of POA I want to show you. It's not complicated, but you do not want to assign this role to a PR person or public relations committee that has no tech skills. I think I've said that before. You do need tech skills to pull this off, but they don't have to be a high level of tech skills. It's not that difficult. And it matters because of, let's look at this. We got 2 images here from a Rotary project. This is a dictionary project. You got a project on the left of a Rotarian and a principal who are working together in the dictionary project. And if you just look on the left, if that picture ever gets away from the post it was used with, it has no connection whatsoever to Rotary. No one will ever know that's a Rotary project. They just think somebody delivered some boxes to this school. Who knows what's in them? But that is there's no connection there to Rotary. On the right, though, you have a connection to Rotary because that work has been branded through People of Action. The Rotary logo is on your picture. It cannot be removed. And there's a message there, together we connect. Same thing here. We have an image at the top of a Rotarian standing with some high school children. They all have a box of something, but we don't know what's in that box. But there is no Rotary connection to that image. On the bottom right, Together We Learn. That's one of the branding images out of People of Action, and it's got Rotary branded on it, and it cannot be removed. So wherever that image goes, it will always carry the Rotary mission with it because it's been branded by Rotary. There are tons of them. We sponsor a Make and Fit festival here locally through our Rotary Club, and it's a family fitness day. So there are tons of People of Action, different themes. Here's one just for having fun. Transform. We have a new park in our community that we've been working on for the last 4 or 5 years, and Rotary's been a big part of that. Together We Transform. Easy to branded work. I love this one because our community is not very diverse. So for this picture to appear on our social media page without a brand, there would be no connection to anyone. No one would have a clue what this picture's about. We have a Rotarian standing beside somebody with something in a bag that could be shirts. I'm not even real sure what that is. It could be shirts. There's zero connection to Rotary. On the right, to go with it, we empower Rotary. Obviously, you begin to think through this when you see the picture that in our community, we're trying to assist somebody here with something through a donation, but it's a Rotary project. So you have a brand to your work that can never leave that image. This, for example, as we're getting ready to ramp up to the Purple Pinky Day, that's in progress now. One of the things, if you read statistics on social media, people aren't big swipers. They don't want to spend their time swiping through 10 pictures unless they are really, really relevant to them. So they will not swipe through, according to some statistics on social media. If you put 5 or 6 pictures in a post, they're not going to swipe through them all. They may look at the first one, they may look at the second one, but they're not going to continually swipe through a bunch of pictures. People of Action allows you to take, there's a combination here of 1, 2, 3, there's 4 pictures here that are possibly relevant to a Purple Pinky post that I'd want to make on social media, but it would require people to swipe. Instead, using People of Action, you're able to create that. One post, one image, all of your stuff is in one image, no swiping required. We've got a brand on it so that it carries the Rotary logo. I actually downloaded that background from Brand Center, that World Polio Day that's got Rotary logo down in the corner. I wouldn't even had to use People of Action here because it is carrying Rotary's logo, but that was actually in Brand Center. I stole that from there and then branded.
Hey,
yes,
David, Ron is on the call and he might want to say a thing or two about Purple Pinky Day. Could
okay.
he interrupt
Yep.
just for a minute?
He sure can.
Sure. Thanks, David and Beth. Well, just wanted to share a real short story with you. You know, sometimes it's good to steal ideas that other people have and then try to make it work for you. And you all may remember a couple of years ago, the Franklin County AEM president worked with drones with his high school folks, and he was at the district conference flying a drone around. So I contacted the Franklin County AEM Club last week and said, why don't we have the drones deliver some Dunkin' Donuts on Purple Pinky Day? And so what they have decided to do is they said, well, let's do it ahead of time so that we can use it as a promo for our club. So we're trying to put something together so that we have a drone delivery of Dunkin' Donuts. And I think it's either going to the police department or the fire department, one or the other, but we're trying to put that together. And that's, I think that's a great idea for them to be able to use something that's unique to them. And I think it's going to be a big hit that we can use throughout our whole district.
That's fascinating. Now, that automatically has my attention of how I would love to see that, because having my own drone is high on my want list, but I want a good drone and I don't have one yet, but that is high on my want list. To think that I could deliver donuts with a drone would be awesome. So
that's a geek thing.
It's a geek thing.
Be driving that drone to deliver those donuts. I think that would be fascinating. So I'll be anxious to see that, how that turns out, Ron. All right. Back on this post here where I've combined all those things, one of the things that came out of the PETS training that I was involved in with Cindy was that when we talked about people of action and how that tool is so good for your public relations committee to use, there was comment after comment after comment. We didn't know it existed. We didn't know it was out there and how to get to it. So when you have access to this presentation, which you will, on this slide, I've put a link to the POA photo editor, and all you'll have to do is click that, and it will take you to the website for POA photo editor. Now, I don't know enough about this to know, and Greg probably does, how this website came about, but it's obviously been built by somebody connected to Rotary heavily, obviously, but it is not tied directly to Rotary because there is not a link that I could find from Brand Center directly to this. So that's why I put the link on my slide. But this is the POA photo editor for your public relations committee that they can use to brand their work. So all you have to do is click photo app. It takes you right to the editor. I'm going to throw one in there real quick for you. Here is a Rotary donation for something that is being done. If we post this like this, unbranded, again, if it ever travels away from us from our social media site, we lose the connection to Rotary. So I want to brand this work. This photo editor allows you to do all kinds of things, filter your work, add, change the lighting, crop it down, all kinds of other things. But when you click on templates, you have all of these Rotary options here. Ends polio, connects, empowers, fight hunger, inspire, learn, mentor, promote peace, save lives, transform, have fun. They're all out there for you. So let's just pretend this is a donation for polio. That's going to pop up there. I can do anything I want with this. I can apply it. I can change the color of it. I can do anything I want with that. I could even overlay other pictures into this to make the collage like I did with the purple pinky post I just showed you that had a combination of 5 or 6 pictures together, all in one post. So I can easily stick Rotary's branding onto these images. So now they're going to go out onto our social media and they will always carry the mission of Rotary with them because they're branded as Rotary work. To me, that just says a lot about these images and how they get out there. Then you just save them, bring them down, I rename them. It's extremely simple. I say that because I have tech skills. I'm the tech guy. I'm the geek.
Yeah, I was just going to say, David, you went, blah, 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 blah. The average person will take a little longer, but this is a great resource though, because trying to do it through Brand Central doesn't work as well as this.
No, Brand Center it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
It is easy, but it does take you a few little go through to get it. Now, did I make one easily the first time? Maybe I had a little hesitation with it, but the mobile version I don't like, but I have done it on my phone and that's a little more complicated. But the website version is user-friendly. It's not terribly difficult, but this is another thing that if your club decided they wanted to try to use this tool, I would be more than happy to travel to your club to get out of Lafayette just for any reason and to get to travel and see humans again and not Zoom with people all the time. But I would be glad to try to, to conduct some trainings with your clubs to do this, to use these tools. I'd be more than happy to do that. It is not as difficult as it might seem, but there is a learning curve. There is a little bit of a learning curve.
David, we're down to about 10 more minutes.
Okay, I'm going to make it easy. So we're just about to be there, and then we'll have time for some questions if there are any, and I will be done. In fact, I'm nearing the end right now. One of the things, examples of vibrant clubs, I know that's been a discussion in and out of the day of vibrant clubs. But when you think about vibrant clubs, where did you get that first bit of information? How did you lean towards a club? Maybe you know what they're doing, but if you don't know what they're doing, it's probably because you've seen what they're doing. And that is your public relations mission right there. If I look at a club or that I've said that one of my favorites is San Francisco West and Singapore. I probably like 20 to 30, maybe 50 Rotary clubs around the world. Those two are my favorites because I see them the most. I see them constantly in their feeds and their social media, so I know what they're doing. So for me, if I had to guess of a vibrant club somewhere out in the world, I would choose Singapore because I'm constantly seeing what they're doing. Vibrant club to me, for them, has been expressed to me through their public relations work because I'm seeing it. So without knowing exactly what's going on in a club and what their work is, the only way I know they're vibrant is that I'm seeing that vibrant work. So your public relations could have a really serious impact on your club being seen as a vibrant club out in the community, out in the world, as how they express the work that's really being done. Some of the other resources that you'll find too that are really good that are in Brand Central are Rotary Club's health checks, the planning guides, Rotary Club Central we've talked about. There's some satisfaction surveys, Brand Center, all these tools are out there. It just takes a little work to dig through them all and figure out what's the best way to incorporate these. How do they impact your public relations, your public image that you want to put out there? And again, if you don't have a public relations committee, think wisely through that, because while you want everyone probably to be a part of that, you need somebody to spearhead that. It is work. It is work to constantly keep that focus out there. That's some work. But there are people who truly love social media. I'm one of them. I love social media. I spend way too many hours on it. Those are the people you want to be sort of working with your public relations committee, somebody who truly has a passion for doing that.
David, in our club, we have a great public relations person, but her job recently changed and she's not there as much and we miss her. So now I think other people in the club are taking responsibility and are feeding her the information when she's not there. So that's a problem too.
That's a challenge, and one I will say is even hurting us a little bit. I've tried to keep our Facebook page very active, but due to COVID and us not meeting together, we have taken pictures of Zoom screens and used that as our Facebook post, and that's unfortunate, but that's the world we're in right now. So we have done that. And then where virtual school now runs my life and I'm not able to be on site as Rotary as much as I'd like, I'm still using Zoom links to do Rotary here locally. And it's very hard for me to grab a picture and brand that because I'm not there. So I totally get that. I totally get that. We do have 2 or 3 of us in our club that are really good about working together and texting each other the pictures if one of us is absent. And that, I think, is crucial to your public relations committee. You want to have enough people on it that someone's always there. So that teamwork is crucial to making that work. Any questions in the chat or any questions?
Oh yeah, the chat's full.
Oh my, okay.
Let's see. David, can you recommend an easy and free video editor? It moved on me, I'm sorry. That's not Mac.
Oh, you're for a Windows based? I tell you what, but instead of me recommending that, let me just see what I'm using. And I've got 2 or 3 that I use, and I will send those. We'll put those links out there too. That information I'll put in my last slide for you or something. There are several out there that we use, and I would prefer to pull it and not get it wrong, because right offhand, I couldn't even tell you what it is.
Okay. Greg, you see any other ones? Wondering if there are other social media. You sort of hit on that. That was the Instagram. I think our club's using Instagram now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to hit the younger generation, and I certainly don't qualify for that part of the generation at my age. I'm not in the younger generation, but I love Instagram. So I actually favor it more than Facebook, but I would definitely suggest an Instagram page, because that is, the transition is there.
There are some clubs using Twitter too, and somebody put that in here, and I'm following a few people on Twitter. And then one says, David, try Canva, very inexpensive, and you can basically make your own POA for any brand.
Oh, really? I've not used Canva.
Yeah, Canva's been out a little bit, David. That's pretty good. But that POA app
it's phenomenal.
It's the piece of cake.
Yeah, the POA app is phenomenal. I don't know who created it. I don't know where it came from, but I sure do love it as a Rotarian trying to get our message out, because it's so simple.
Did you get there's a question about where you got your Rotary background. Did you get that from Brand Central?
I did. Yep.
Came out of Brand Center.
Yeah. Greg's came out of Grand Center too, because it's in there.
Yeah.
And you can Google Rotary background.
Google backgrounds.
Yeah. I get a ton from Google, but I just went in and downloaded a bunch out of Brand Center and put them in a folder, and I just use them.
Now don't forget though that if you don't have a good graphic card, unless you have a green screen, you always can't use a background. So.
Okay, Greg, let's put the poll up. We've got a little evaluation poll, and it's just 3 questions. So, David, that was just excellent. And if anybody wants to stay and ask some more questions, I don't want to keep you from David, because he's amazing.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen though. There you go.
Okay.
You see that, Beth?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a 3-question survey. I'm going to wait another 10 seconds, Beth, and then I'll pull it down.
Okay.
We're stuck at 18 people right now, so.
It won't let me answer. So am I a co-host?
Yeah, because you're a co-host, yeah.
Okay.
So
it looks like they like the new approach. Okay, good. They would like to have maybe some more opportunities, and they're inspired to become a more vibrant club today. Yes, yes. That's exciting. I really appreciate everybody being on here today. And if you gave up the game, I know that Wayne has got both things going on, don't you, Wayne?
what's the score, Wayne? Wayne, what's the score? You're muted, Wayne. You're
28-12, isn't it?
28-12.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
28-12. Very good, David.
We're 59 seconds in the third, 12-28.
It's a new approach, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I thought it would be good for us to change things up and see how we can make these clubs exciting. We want them and working on all 4 cylinders. First, knowing what the cylinders are, and then working on all of them, I think is really important. You might feel like your club's doing 3 of them really well, or 2 of them really well. But to get them all firing, I think is really, really important. And thank you all so much. Does anybody have another question for David? I think he might stay for a minute if you do.
Yeah, David, can you hang on a couple minutes? I want to talk to you. Yeah.
Yep, no problem.
Thank y'all so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
All right. See y'all.
See y'all.
Y'all. All y'all.
All y'all.
All y'all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I came from Southern Michigan, so that
Yeah, right.
I don't
No,
think,
that
but
doesn't
we don't
bother
have names like Smith, and we got, Zimbabwe.
Maciolik.
Yeah, Maciolik, Zimbabwe, Makarevich,
How many different ways can you say Maciolik?
Well, when I grew up, it was Machoek in Polish, Machoek. The CI becomes a CH and the L becomes a W, Machoek.
Well, how many things have you been called?
Well, it's like Greg, yeah, that's me, yeah. Actually, some people get the name right, but most of them don't. They just, well, if you made the C and S, it would be easier, right? Maciolik, then it would be easier.
Yeah.
So we had friends in Ohio that's their name, Maciolik with an S. So instead of a C.
Look at Andrea's
I
background
want to
here.
know what it says because, like, Star Trek is my life. What does that say? I can't see it. It's in that little screen up there. What does that say? Social distancing something.
Because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That's such a famous line from Star Trek.
Correct quote from the second one. Yep.
Way to go, Andrea. All right, I'm going to log off. Thank you so much, David.
No, you're
Outstanding.
welcome.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome, Beth. Take care. I'll see you Monday. I'm coming to the office. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See you then.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
Janice, you got a question, or are you just hanging around? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I was at work. Nice. Thank you for everything. Bye.
Okay. Bye, Andrea. Take care. Andrea, rather, excuse me. What I was thinking, David, maybe a few tutorial videos. Do you make videos?
I do. Yeah.
Just one subject videos, like how do you do that? How do you do the POA?
Yep.
How do you get it? Even in getting into Brand Central, how do you make a logo?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty simple, but how do you do it? Because if you're not, and a lot of times getting into, I'll be done in 2 minutes, babe. Getting into Brand Central, sometimes it drops off, and then you got to get back in. But I think like a video on branding your website and your Facebook page so that you have, the current logos and stuff like that. And you don't screw with the logos, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would think even, 5-minute, a series of 5-minute videos. I know I do a lot of videos too, and but so that you can slow it down a little bit so that people can see what you're doing. But
yeah, I knew today would be a little fast.
No. You did. This was very informative. People learned a lot today. Let me tell you, that was excellent. I'm just thinking though that, one of the things I pushed was club annual reports, because I think we don't do a good job of telling our story. Now that's a little different tack, but if you go to my website, I still haven't put up last year's because I was governor. I'm still playing with that, but I've got 3 years of my club annual reports. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Have you? I don't know.
I don't think I have.
Sure, let me take you to my district, my club website, okay, and I'll put it up here. Because I think a lot of times we have a hard time telling people what we've done. Well, I didn't put up the speaker this week here. So I'm going to share my screen, David.
Okay.
If I hit Zoom, it'll work. There we go. Share. Boom. Share. So this is ours. And then I had the speakers. I got busy this week. But see, I've got club annual reports for the last 3 years. And what we've done in Knoxville is we've combined and we've got 6 clubs in Knoxville, and we put together a Knoxville club annual report. And the reason I think this is important, because we sometimes, this is just the history and stuff like that, but what happens a lot of times is that we say, well, yeah, we do stuff, and stuff like that. But here, here's specific stuff. Here's how many volunteer hours. Here's how much we donated. Here's what we impacted. Rotary Youth Exchange, with 2 volunteers, 25 hours, we donated $1,500. This is one of our projects, the Shangri-La therapeutic thing. We had a grant, we did all this. Mm-hmm. And then Ryla, we sent 2 people on Ryla. Free flu shot Saturday, we talked about that. Here's the numbers. We take the Rotary Youth Exchange to the football game every year, and they love it. And we, this particular year, we participated in the Habitat for Humanity build. World Rotary Day, the 6 clubs in Knoxville get together and do a project. We did another one, another project. There was money, so we did another project at Shangri-La, and then we did, heart to heart. I want to get you down here. So we had we only got 27 members in our club, right? So we did 131 volunteers, 645 hours. We multiply the hours by 2543, which is the FEMA number. And, and then we put in the, what else we did with our, how much we put in Polio Plus and everything else. And so our total, time talent was 38,279. That's just our club, a little club. But this way you can sit down with somebody and say, here's what we focus on. Here's what we've done, and stuff like that. Yeah. So, Dan, he's an AG now, is going to be club president again. He helps run the golf tournament. So the reason I like these is that then we had the wildflower sale, where we raised money, and then we had the show and shine. And, we talk about Rotary branding, why that why Rotary video is mine. I'm the one who had that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that too many times people can't tell you what a club does other than, we meet on Tuesday at noon and then we do some stuff at the school.
Yeah.
Here's specifics.
Yeah.
And when we go every year, we get on the local #1 radio show here at Heller Nilton Hill, and we talk about what we've done. And with the 6 clubs, we did over $500,000 of hours and volunteers, and 150,000 that's for the schools. And most people don't know that.
Yeah.
So we give it's a way to have a real number. And if each club does it, I tried to do a district one last year, but I couldn't get enough clubs to do the math, but a lot of clubs did. We got a lot of clubs, and the ones I did, and I've been zone teching for the Zoom calls for the zone. So, plus I still work.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's to me, it's an opportunity to tell your story in a bigger way.
Yeah, I like the concreteness of it.
Yeah, because when you're trying to sit down with a business person, why do you want to belong to this club? And you can't put numbers against it.
Yeah.
To me, it's not good. And then you can also go to the last year I put on the district website how many dollars we give to annual fund and polio, and I try to do the volunteer hours, but again, I probably had half the clubs that did it, and I should have put it up anyways, but I was a little discouraged.
Well, there'd be no way to sit down and have that conversation just from memory.
No, you can't. Oh. And then when I can go back 2-3 years and say, here's what we've done. And then when we do the 6 clubs in Knoxville, you start, we're having a big impact. There's 420 members in Knoxville in the 6 clubs. And, we make, $500,000 impact with time, talent, and treasure. It's not bad.
All you would need is just somebody who's, keeping a spreadsheet to keep up with the numbers.
That's exactly right. And I've created stuff like that, list your projects, have it at you don't have the registration table now much, but we send out, even in our club. Now we're meeting in person most of the time, but what we've asked people to do is say, hey, if you did volunteer hours, we would send them a reminder email and we go from there.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, so those you can look at online,
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
I do like the idea of that. I think we need those in our own club just to have some focus on what we have done and what we want to do.
Yeah. And what have we done? And when you look at that, I agree with you, promoting stuff, that's important. But I think we don't tell our story very well.
Oh, I agree with that.
And as a result, you know, and it's also capturing club history, because we put in there at the beginning, you know, who the officers were and all that. But the other thing it does is, usually we're always looking ahead at next year, but I always say to the club presidents, the last meeting of the year should be, what do we do this year?
Yeah.
And feel proud about, man, we did a hell of a lot. You know, because when you put it together, that's pretty good. I forgot we did that. Oh yeah, we did that project. Or I wasn't able to participate. That was cool. And get some pride in what the heck you've done.
Yeah, you're almost should end the year with a little bit of a year-long celebration of what we accomplished.
Absolutely. And so I think that I've been doing club annual reports for about 4 years, and that was one of my goals, which didn't work. You know, like I said, I did get a lot of people to do it, and some did it in formats that weren't quite as specific, but nonetheless, we got a lot done. But I think it helps each club to better tell what the heck you do.
Well, how do you even, if you have prospective members who are interested, there's no way to communicate that without some kind of good documentation.
You can't.
And you can't just say, nobody wants to sit down and say, here, let me get this paper out, or let me pull this spreadsheet up for you and let's talk, but if you had that where you could refer them to that, or, that's out there in the public for everyone to understand.
Yeah. And I try to get the Chattanooga club to track that stuff. They got 360 members now. They do a lot of check writing, but nonetheless, they still do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they said, well, couldn't convince them of that, but those are the things, when you look at, if we did 500,000 just in Knoxville, just think what the number would be when we look at the whole district, when we got 64 clubs. Holy boy. To me, it'd be, 2-3 million or whatever. And it's all volunteer stuff.
Yeah. But wouldn't that be impressive in a document like what you just had for Knoxville, just as the district, to see that data? That'd be incredible.
I'm going to get as many as I did, and then I'm going to try and get some of the clubs that didn't do stuff. Give me some round numbers, because I still think and you get that published in a newspaper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we go, we get on the radio show. We'll do that for a Purple Pinky, also promotion. But then we get on with Halloran. He's the #1 talk show host in town, and last year he gave us 45 freaking minutes.
Oh wow!
Of a 4-hour show. He gave us damn near that whole hour. That's how good he is about helping organizations like us.
Yeah, well, that's unusual to get that much time in something like that.
But that's what he does for us every year, and then he lets us put on Purple Pinky, talk about polio and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, Dave. Well, listen, if I can be of help, let me know. And but I just think a short, a 5-minute video, and here's how you do. Here's how you use the people of action thing.
Yeah.
Here's how you get the Zoom. I agree. A lot of times, for a lot of stuff for Rotary, I just Google it, and then you'll find it in Vimeo, or you'll find it here and there and everything. Because sometimes searching on the Rotary website's useless.
Oh, when I start encountering the problems with the error messages on those 2 documents, and both of those documents are good ones, but the error messages are so frustrating, I about quit.
Well, you did the one on the visual guide. What was the other one?
The other one was, they've got a visual guide and they have got the messaging guide.
Okay, because the visual guide, I have that, but the messaging guide, I wasn't aware of that one. So.
Yeah, there's a messaging guide and a visual guide, and they're both really good public relations documents.
Oh yeah, they're very good. Yeah, the visual guide, I had that. I think I made that when I did with my club presidents. I got that out there, but
but the website keeps giving you an error message saying, sorry, we can't find this data. But then all of a sudden it will drop it down in a download, and you didn't even know it was coming.
You didn't even know it's coming. I know. Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks, David. You did a great job today. I appreciate it.
All right. No problem. Appreciate it, Greg.
Take care of yourself.